Hello, everyone. I'm Lauren Hubele, and welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. Today, our astrologer Jyoti Wind will take us into what's ahead for the next week and starting with today's full moon. Hello, Jyoti.
Hi, Lauren. Um, well, let's have a look. Today is the full moon. It was exact at 10:54 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so a couple hours ago. And the full moon is really presenting a challenge of past and present. The sun is conjuncting Pluto by 5 degrees, and they're both opposing the moon. And so it's giving us an opportunity to look at the present moment, which the sun represents in a sense, and the past, which is the moon. The moon always represents our attachments, our emotions, our emotional body, and our past. And so at a full moon, there's a polarity being set up. The sun and moon are opposing. And with Pluto there, it's saying, okay, what of the past is relevant and what is it, and how does it fit into the present moment? How do that opposition come together? And what of the present needs to be transformed accordingly?
Hmm. So, as always, I have to ask this question. How might we be experiencing this, Jyoti?
Well, it might look like things that have been around for a long time and just kind of part of the furniture, so to speak, the internal
Yeah.
emotional furniture. All of a sudden, it seems a bit shabby and outworn, and time to let it go and replace it with something more fitting for this point in time in a person's life. So they might be looking at old emotional relationships. They might be looking at feelings that they've been carrying around for a long time, or just old emotional patterns, and looking at what still fits and what is really outworn.
Yeah, and I would think that type of information might come up to for us when we're quiet or maybe even in our dreams.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can come up in conversations,
Mhm.
where all of a sudden somebody says something and you're going, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, that now I know which
But
piece it is that I need to hone in on.
okay, okay.
Because I believe the universe mirrors for us, and mirrors to us what we need to see in ourselves, and we what is now time for us to work on.
Okay. Okay. So looking at things from our past, determining if they belong in our present and our future.
Yes, yes. And this is a full moon, so there is that polarity of the sun opposing the moon, and in a polarity, people usually think that other people feel exactly opposite them. It's just a kind of supposition or even projection, but it's good to inquire because the other person may feel exactly the same as you, but you don't know that until you inquire.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's just being aware of not creating polarities, not assuming things.
Okay. Okay. And obviously this is a full moon, this is today, but how long might we experience this energy?
Probably 2 weeks until the next moon cycle of the new moon, I
Okay.
would say. I mean, some people would feel maybe that it goes till the next full moon, but I kind of am of the idea that, the new moon sets a tone, and you work on it and it brings it to fruition kind of at the full moon, the peak experience. And then you work on some things, but the energy is waning. And then there's the new moon, and it's got a different flavor for the following 2 months to a month. Sorry, 2 weeks to a month.
Jyoti, I've heard folks mention that on full moons, they tend to feel a little more vulnerable and exposed. Is there anything to that?
I would wonder about their personal chart.
Okay.
And the moon rules Cancer, so any kind of Cancerian planets would
Uh,
be even more vulnerable or susceptible to that vulnerable feeling. My feeling about the full moon is that it's like when something has reached its full-blown energy. I mean, traditionally there were more cops on the beat and bouncers at the bars, because that moon is pulling on the waters in our brain, in our emotional body, and people behave kind of zany.
mhm.
And so that zaniness is kind of a key word sometimes for a full moon. I mean, it doesn't have to be, it depends on your orientation. If you're used to drinking a lot and hanging out at bars and, just behaving kind of radically, which is fine, then you would feel maybe that zaniness or out of control feeling, and that can leave a person feeling kind of vulnerable.
Hmm.
If you're quieter and you tend your garden and you meditate and you just have a quieter type of life, it might feel more like there's more opportunity to see things. The light is fuller in a full moon. The light is fuller, and you can see in the dark, however you want to take that metaphorically.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to mention that this full moon with Sun and Pluto and Moon, they're both squaring Jupiter. And so fairly closely, like 1 degree, the Sun and Moon. And so it's pushing us to look at our life philosophy, what we feel like life is all about, and where we kind of get stubborn, because this is fixed planets, fixed signs, Aquarius and Leo and Jupiter in Taurus. And they all have their own stubbornness, and Jupiter in Taurus just digs its heels in and says, nope, I'm not doing that. And this full moon, especially with Pluto, is squaring that Jupiter and saying, look again, maybe rethink this a little bit so that you can be a little bit more flexible.
Hmm. Nice.
And the other thing I want to mention is that the planet Uranus, as of today, the 25th till the 30th, is stationing, meaning it's been retrograde for months and months. As in the fall, all the planets just about were retrograde at one point, and this is the last one going direct. They have all gone direct: Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, all of them. And so the planet Uranus is going direct on Saturday, the 27th. And so during this time of the 25th to the 30th of January, and it shows up in the full moon chart, so it's part of it, it's expect the unexpected, because the planet Uranus rules Aquarius. And when it's the planet of lightning, and it's the planet of change and unexpected things that come to you and maybe reorient your whole life sometimes. So that's there kind of as a wild card with this fixed T-cross with Jupiter, this full moon energy. And here's the planet Uranus just starting to move after being in a very internalized place in us symbolically. And now it's moving out into the outer world. And what are the changes we want to initiate? What is it that we've been mulling around, let's say, for the past 6 months? And now it's time to begin.
Wow. Wow. Wild cards can be both exciting and frightening.
Yes, they can. Yes, if we can hold it as an adventure, that's the best we can do some days. Yes,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, I think we need to be looking at each day like that coming up.
I think so. I think so, especially with this planet Uranus. I mean, Mercury is trining that planet Uranus, and so is Mars. And so there's insights available, intuitions, trusting your intuition. Okay, that's not working. I'm working on letting that go. What's the next piece on the table?
Hmm. Hmm. So it feels like a very powerful couple days here where we could make some changes and we're well supported to do that.
Yes, yes, with insight and intuition,
Mhm.
and also Pluto as a helper. We sometimes Pluto has a bad name, because it's thunderous. It moves so slowly and it makes such lasting, drastic changes for us to take advantage of, and so how do we use this Pluto at this point in time, this full moon energy and this planet Uranus stationing, to just forge ahead and go, okay, if that stuff doesn't work, I'm going to give it away. I'm going to throw it in a fire. I'm going to just say, I don't want to put my attention there anymore. I want to put my attention here
Yeah.
with where I'm going and with what I want my life to look like at this point in time.
Sounds like very good advice.
I think it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else about this time period, Jyoti, we should be aware of?
Um, it's just, the continuum. Things are just continuing with this Pluto having moved into Aquarius. I mean, Pluto is going to show up a lot this spring in different aspects and different moon cycles. And so kind of getting more comfortable
Mhm.
with this Plutonian energy, and right now Uranian energy. I mean, it heralds change,
Yeah.
and how can we befriend change?
Hmm. Well, I like the way that you frame that because it is going to be around a while, and rather than shying away from it or trying to hide, making friends with it and using
Yes.
it for our advantage.
Yes, it reminds me of uh, standing on a hill one time. I may have told the story before, probably, but and seeing something in my mind's eye that I knew I needed to work with, that might have been scary at one time, and just reaching out and putting it in my heart and telling it I was going to love it anyway. And so embracing Pluto, becoming a co-worker, a companion to Pluto, and embracing all the things that no longer serve us, that no longer work. I mean, easier said than done. Absolutely. I'm very aware of that, and I'm very aware of what it takes to face different things that all of a sudden aren't working, and you don't know what's going to fill that place, you know. But nature abhors a vacuum, and nature will bring something to fill that place.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, Jyoti. But your life experience is why your wisdom is so valuable for us. And I know you've walked this walk, and you don't suggest anything that you haven't tried yourself.
I probably true.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
wonderful. Anything else today?
No, I think that's plenty.
Good, good. Well, listeners, it sounds like you've got your homework here. So after this, you might have to listen twice to take it all in. And Jyoti, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome, Lauren.